Okay, so going to talk a little bit about my responsibilities at Sembach Air Force Base. Again, I normally am in radio maintenance. I work on the control tower radios and other various radios on the base. But my secondary job was as part of the disaster preparedness team, and this is a story about something that happened during the disaster preparedness. Now, the second job I had on that team, one of the primary functions I had was I was responsible for chemical warfare. I don't know what we called it, but basically during the if there was in the event of a war, I was responsible for going out and verifying what kind of chemicals they were shooting at us. They being the Russians, of course, or the USSR back there. So I was in. We were in an exercise. It's called Reforger, which was a big annual exercise in Europe that all the NATO countries participated in. And one of the things that I had to do was, protect against chemicals or verify what chemicals they were shooting at us. And so as part of that, I would have to gear up in all the chemical warfare stuff, including the mask, and not just the mask you see on TV, but this was a full-on body suit that covered your whole face, and you had taped up the arms and boots and all that stuff, and you go out and into the environment and check for chemicals and see what kind of chemicals they were shooting at us. So this is a story about one of those activities during the Reforger exercise where I was tasked to go out into the world. I was supposedly, after the attack, I was the first one out after everybody had sheltered in place. I was the first one to go out in the environment to check what kind of chemicals they were shooting at us, all in my gear. And during the exercise, we spent like a whole week on the base. I'm going to sit down here and let it come over to me. Come on over here. Okay, so during the Reforger exercise, I had to spend the whole week in this rubber suit with a gas mask on for most of the time, but if we were sheltered in a compliant area, we could have the mask off and go to the bathroom and stuff like that. But other than that, the entire week for the exercise, I was in this rubber suit. So part of the exercise, they do all kinds of activities, and so one of them was an event. They said we had been attacked, chemical weapons had been shot at us, and I had to go out and find out what it was. So I had to go to the highest spot and work my way down to the lower spots where the chemicals would be. And so I went out, and part of the exercise, I would go in a pickup truck and drive with all this stuff on, and a whole case of chemical vials and stuff that would use to test the samples that I found. And so I went out, and a lieutenant was with me. He was the checker, I guess, just to verify that I was how I was doing my job and all that stuff. And so I'm going out into the. I went to the right in front of the 17th Air Force headquarters building in Sembach Air Force Base, which was pretty much the highest point on the base, and it was right around the flagpoles. And so I had to go to there and check for the chemicals. So I go down there, and there's a yellow brick, a yellow wooden block that had the information that I was supposed to report for the, you know, what chemicals I found. And so I go to the yellow brick, and I go down. He says, you know, go through the whole motions of taking out the vials and checking each one, and you know, there was a whole series of vials you had to go through. It was probably like an hour worth of testing and stuff. So I went down, and one of the vials, I told him, I said, hey, I'm getting a positive for a nerve agent. And he said, what? And I said, he said, no, you have to read what's on the card. And I said, no, sir, I'm getting a positive on the nerve agent. What happened is they had just painted the block of wood that they taped the little thing on what I was supposed to find, a little card that said what was supposed to be there. They had just painted it, and it turns out that the chemicals that were in the paint were registering on the test. And so, while we were sitting there laughing about the fact that it came up positive, all of a sudden, this F4 jet came down. It looked like it was about 2 feet above my head, but it was higher than the flagpole, but it just felt like that. And it came from behind the headquarters building, and apparently they were doing a strike on the building. Actually, they turned out it was a German F4 because they had a big iron cross on the tail end of it. They had basically strafed the building, so and it would come down really low, and so you know, it was loud, and I just dropped it. All the chemicals spilled all over. All the things fell. I went to the ground. The lieutenant was on the ground, and he was cussing, "What the hell?" So anyway, we got up, and you know, we never figured out. We never knew who it was. I'm sure they found out who it was that had done that, but somebody had blown right over our heads. Like I said, it felt like it was about 2 feet over my head, but I'm sure it wasn't. And it came from behind, because I remember not hearing it, and then all of a sudden there was a big room, and you know, it came over me. So, and I scattered all over. So that was the exciting story of my discovering chemical warfare during the Cold War. So, all right. I think that's about 5 minutes. Let's see. Yeah, whatever. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.